and welcome to another jewelry making video brought to you by keepsakecrafts.net and Fancy That Art Jewelry Etsy shop. Today we're going to let the beads do the work for us. With just some simple stringing, these top drilled bicones make a very interesting bracelet design. So it's the choice of bead that we're using here that makes our bracelet design. I don't know if you can see it, but these bicones, instead of being drilled through from point to point, are actually drilled across one of the points. And we can use that to let the beads nest into each other and make a really great kind of spiral design. So what you'll need are some Swarovski crystal bicone beads that are top drilled. Here we have 12 8mm Indian pink, 12 8mm mocha, 12 8mm cyclamen, then we have 12 6mm in rose, and 12 6mm in lavender. You'll also need a piece of bead stringing wire, about 12 to 14 inches is great for a bracelet. You'll need a toggle clasp or a clasp of your choice. You'll need 2 crimp beads and then a few accent beads. So we'll start by adding 1/2 of our clasp. You want to slide on a crimp bead and then slide on one of your accent beads. By not having your crimp bead right up against your toggle, it just protects it a little bit. So then go through one of the pieces of your toggle and then back through both beads, the accent bead and the crimp. So we're just going to pull up our wires snug to the clasp. Now you don't want it too snug because then your bracelet is stiff. The next step is to flatten the crimp bead. If you're comfortable using crimping pliers, go ahead and do that. I happen to like just using a pair of chain nose pliers. So make sure that your wires are lying side by side as they come out of the crimp bead. You don't want them crossing. And then just go ahead and grab that bead with your chain nose pliers and give it a good squeeze. Flatten it out. Always give that a tug. Make sure that's not going anywhere. And then if you have that secure, you don't need to leave any tail because a tail isn't going to make it any more secure. So you can just go ahead and snip off that excess wire. So once you have your crimp secured on the wire, go ahead and string on another one of your accent beads. That way the crimp is sandwiched between 2 accent beads and kind of protected there. If you have a crimp cover, which is a little thing, it looks like a bead once it's snapped over it, you can go ahead and add one. I just don't happen to have any right now. And that will just make it look like another bead. But this actually serves to disguise it. So then you go ahead and start stringing your bead pattern, and it's very simple. Just arrange your beads in the order that you'd like them to be, and you're going to have your 6mm, your 6mm, and then your 3 8mm, and you just string 2 of each. And we start with the smaller ones because that just gives the toggle a little bit more space so that you can slide it in. So you could see when I said these were top drilled, now you can see a little bit more clearly what I mean, that it's drilled through one of the points of the bicone rather than from point to point. So we simply string on 2 of each, and really the designing here is in the sizes you choose and the colors you choose and the way you arrange your colors. So you can see they sort of nest into each other and they kind of spiral as they go along the wire. You'll see what I mean when I get a few more on. And so once you get a few on, just go ahead, kind of shake them down so that they nest into each other. And now you can see what I mean by the way they spiral. Now at this point, you may have to do a little bit of experimenting, stringing and restringing to determine just how many beads that you need for the length of bracelet you need. I've actually done that a few times. I need a bracelet that's just a smidge over 7 inches, and so I'm going to actually use all of these beads. I've done one set that used 2 of each of these 5 kinds of beads. Now I'm going to go ahead and do, in between all the 8 millimeters, we're always going to have 2 pink 6 millimeter, well, rose 6 millimeter beads and 2 Provence lavender 6 millimeter beads. And then to make this bracelet just a little bit bigger, at this point I'm actually going to add 3 of each of my 8 millimeter. So let me lay out the pattern for you. So there'll be 2 of each of the 8 millimeter, and then 3 of each. So we'll have 3. Move that up a little. And 3, and then 2 of each of the littler ones, and then 2 of each of the big ones. So I'm just making it symmetrical. That's just me. And then 2 of each of the smaller in between, and then another 3 of each of the bigger ones. And then finishing with 2 more of each of these, and then 2. So the smaller ones are always 2 and 2, and then for the larger ones we go 2s, 3s, 2s, 3s, 2s, and that uses up all 12 of your beads. If you need a larger bracelet, what you can do is add a few more beads at the end. It's actually a good idea to have a few more smaller beads like these accents at the end with the toggle bar. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my stringing, and then I'll show you how to finish it up. So here I've strung all my beads. Now keep in mind, because this bracelet has some depth to it, some thickness, you actually need a little bit more length than you might normally on a skinnier, slimmer profile of a bracelet. So this one right now is at, and make sure that you kind of shake all the beads down and get them to nest into each other, because otherwise it'll be longer than you think it is, and when you finish it they'll slide down and then you'll have loose wire. So right now this is at about 7.5 inches, which will be just right for a 7.25 inch wrist. Like I said, if you need a little bit more, go ahead and add a few more accent beads. But what I'm going to do right now is slide on an accent bead and a crimp, and our last accent bead, and the toggle bar. Move this out of the way. And then slide the wire back through the accent bead and the crimp. And then go ahead and pull it up. Again, make sure that those are all nested down into each other, and leave just a tiny bit of slack in your wire so that your bracelet hangs. See, that's a little stiff, so I'm just going to loosen it, even just a 1/16 of an inch. See, now it's draping nicely. And then we'll just go ahead and flatten that crimp just the way I did the other one, making sure that the wires are flat to each other. Give it a tug, make sure it's secure, cut off the excess wire. And there you have it, a lovely bracelet very simple to do. So here's another look at the bracelet we made today. And isn't it fun? I think it's a lot of fun to make a project that looks complicated, but because of the materials we chose, is actually very simple to do. If you'd like to make a bracelet just like this one, I actually have these available in kit form at my Fancy That Art Jewelry Etsy shop. You will get all genuine Swarovski crystal beads, all the ones you see here. You will get a slightly different clasp than the one in this picture, but it will be silver plated, and you will get sterling silver crimps and accent beads. So thanks so much for watching my jewelry videos. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing. And also subscribe to my blog, keepsakecrafts.net, for lots of jewelry making and sewing, crafting ideas and inspiration. Have a good one and happy creating.